The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast on the GallowgateShots YouTube channel. We have gone old school tonight. It's the OGs, it's myself, Kris, joined by Mark, the original creators of the GallowgateShots podcast. So,
it's old, like the olden days.
How things have changed, Mark.
When things were in black and white on the radio.
Things have changed for us, mate. What started off in my old kitchen, moved to my mother's conservatory, then to the pub, and we're now here, mate. So it's been 10 years in the making, but we're nice and cozy in a little dark setting tonight, aren't we, mate? It's very, very romantic.
Very moody and cinematic.
It is. We're going to try and do things a little bit different tonight. So those that are watching, we do normally go through questions at the end of the podcast. But like I said, let's go old school and throw as many questions our way throughout the recording. We'll be going for around about 60 minutes as usual. And we will just literally pick and choose questions throughout this one. But Mark, we need to address everything which happened at the weekend. So Sunday, Newcastle United welcome third placed Nottingham Forest to St James's Park. And we all knew it was going to be a difficult game. It didn't get off to the best of starts, obviously going a goal down in 6 minutes or something daft like that. And what wasn't a great start to the game. But similar to what Man City did to us, we absolutely slaughtered them in a space of 15, 20 minutes. Scoring.
It wasn't even that long. We literally scored 4 goals in just over 10 minutes.
We did, but we could have got more in that time frame. Very, like I said, very similar to what City did to us at the Etihad. And it's game over. Well, you think it's game over at that point, don't you? Let's summarize it, because it wasn't as easy as it wasn't as easy as that.
It really was the game of two halves.
It was.
We're going to go down
very much so, and not the first time we've seen it, and it won't be the last time this season that we've seen it. And once again, we're going to go back to the point and say, what is this Newcastle United? You've got a team that can go out and absolutely smash a team in the first half, which was very similar to the performance in the reverse fixture.
Yeah.
So they get the early goal, then we just go and dominate that first half. We've done exactly the same at St James's Park. But the lads come out in the second half and it's complete opposite. But let's focus on the positives first of all. That was a fantastic first half performance from us.
Well, you say that.
Well, it was. I think it was.
I mean, we did get off to a bit of a slow start. Before the game, in all honesty, I was feeling quite nervous about it, just with the way that we've been at times at home. They're in a good run of form. I know they've had a couple of mishaps with some of their results as well, but I wasn't feeling my normal optimistic, confident self going into that one. So yeah, the start just kind of cemented that feeling. And I mean, it just comes about in such awful circumstances as well. Like we've got, and again, it's probably the case for all of the goals, but we just shoot ourselves in the foot straight away.
So we need to address this straight away. Jacob Murphy put in one of the Jacob Murphy performances that nobody ever wants to see, but managed to grab a goal.
I honestly said the words. Well, actually, it was tempered by the thought in the back of my head of when we have this Jacob Murphy, you can guarantee he's either going to get an assist or score or something like that.
He still impacts the game in a positive way.
God,
randomly.
He was terrible at the start of that game.
So looking at the game back, even I didn't make the game at St James's Park. I skipped this one. But even the commentators at one point before he got his goal was like, he's not had the greatest of starts. He kind of wants the ground to swallow him up because everything he touched, every pass he tried to play was short, under hit. He was losing possession left, right, and centre, and he just couldn't get anywhere. And that led to the first goal. Yeah. The first goal, the cameras weren't even on the focus on the pitch. They were showing some sort of highlight.
I mean, we had a throw in, so you don't expect to
Tino, isn't
to go from there. I mean, To be fair, Tino could probably have chosen a better throw in.
If you look back and if you look at the highlight, I'm not sure on the camera angle from the highlights that have been published, but if you look back at it, Tyndall is literally calling him to come this way, as in towards goal, like towards their goal, not our goal. That then Tino just turns his back to that and he throws it at Murphy. And do you know what it is? I don't think Tino does anything wrong. It's Murphy's positioning is all wrong. He's no idea of his surroundings at all.
He's still got a man right on him.
Yeah,
and so Tino doesn't do him any favors, but his body position, the way he's facing, and he just gets it caught up with under his feet and is dispossessed really, really easy. And then from there, obviously, the go forward, and it's a strange one because we seem to have conceded quite a few goals from just long range shots that are going in that bottom left hand corner, and we cannot even just say it's Pope because it's been Dubravka that's been in nets for that whole time, and I'm sure that'll be a
we will get onto that talking point
there as well. But when you first look at it, Pope's obviously anticipating with the way that the run's coming that he's going to bend it around Burn and put it into the right hand corner, because that's kind of what you're expecting. Burn's got that left side of the goal kind of blocked off when you first see it, but then Burn then also kind of anticipates that the ball's going to go across to their right as they're looking at the goal. So both him and Pope slightly move, which just then leaves that huge gap. And to be fair, he does put it well into the corner, which leaves Pope absolutely no chance.
It's a great hit. I'm not taking anything away from it because it's a fantastic hit. Nick Pope was closer to sitting near us than what he was in the centre. Made his positioning for that goal. He's
actually quite central when you start off. And I say when you see it, Burn's got that entire side of the goal covered and blocked off. It's just that little, as I say, anticipation of him thinking the way that he's coming across the box, he's going left. So he just adjusts himself a little bit and takes his
He's miles off. He's miles off it. Like, his position is absolutely shocking. But we will talk about Dubravka and the Nick Pope situation later on.
In fairness, though, he shouldn't be put in that position.
Of course not.
Absolutely not. And it stems, and it's not getting talked about enough. It comes from that throw in, and just a moment of madness from Tino to throw it in there, Murphy to be asleep, given the start that he'd had, and he continued to go on and have for the next 10 minutes or so. In fairness, probably even longer than that, but I don't want to slag him off. But it wasn't the best to start, but so avoidable, and that's the frustrating thing.
But like you said, Mark, there's so many goals this season that have been avoidable. But you can argue that that's for every team will say exactly the same. We've obviously capitalized on other teams making mistakes and things like that as well. But it was a stinker, and like I said, Jacob Murphy wanted the ground to swallow him up. He kept on trying after that. Credit to him, he kept on trying to get involved, but every time he tried to get involved, he's just messing things up.
Even when there was a little, probably maybe 5-10 minutes later, where he actually does really well and gets down to the down into the Milburn and Gallowgate corner. And he puts a ball over. I mean, the one that he'd done before that was, Jesus, awful. But then the next one, he puts it into a great area, but he hits it so hard that it actually knocked out 3 people in the Gallowgate corner.
He lashes at it.
He just, and I think he was just
he's actually reaching for it, isn't he?
Stuck between that. Nothing's going for us here. I'm not the first few chances that I've had on getting anywhere near, and he just puts his foot through it, and it's. Just it was just as was said, it was just one of those games, and it was like he's having a Jacob.
But despite Forest taking the lead, it was still Newcastle United for the rest of that half. It was Newcastle United, and we'll get onto the spell which we had. We were just complete dominance. Every time we got the ball and went forward, it looked like we were going to score. Yeah. Lewis Miley obviously grabs the first goal. Great for Lewis Miley. Do you know what it is? I always feel a bit bad for Miley because he never really celebrates how I want him to celebrate.
He's quite cool and calm.
It's quite a muted celebration, isn't it?
He had a chance before he actually scored in a similar position as well, which he kind of snatches a bit at. But yeah, it's always nice to see him grab a goal. Obviously, the first start that he's had in a while, and I think in fairness to him, he's he came in under difficult circumstances, and he He did all right.
I think it's his second.
I thought he was all right.
I think it's his second goal, the second time
Yes,
starting as well.
yeah.
So he's returned to that team really well, especially obviously with the injuries that were had with Tonali and Joe Linton as well. And I think everybody was shocked with the Tonali injury. I heard rumors.
Well, it was really late on. Was
it
either Friday night or Saturday when the rumour mill started, wasn't it? But thankfully, I mean, obviously he came on in the second half. There didn't seem to be any signs of any particular worry around, like slight muscle strain, I think was the reason given. He looked all right when he came on, thankfully.
But in the space of, from the 23rd minute to the 34th minute, including a big chunk of VAR time in between that, Newcastle United just go on an absolute rampage and put 4 past Marcel's. Let's talk about the next goal is the Jacob Murphy one. If I remember right, it's Murphy that gets the second one. So Murphy gives us the lead, and I don't even know how to explain this goal because I think he's trying to he's trying to guide the ball in the goal without stealing the goal from somebody else. I think that's what he's doing. Then the last minute he goes, "This isn't going to go." And then
I thought he just almost got himself ahead of the ball, so he was trying to like
hover back
pull himself back out of it, because he was going to miss it. But yeah, I don't know, thigh'd it in.
yeah. But he does really well not for it to hit his hand.
Yeah, he just pulls that out well.
Yeah, he does.
In fairness, though, I think had that not have gone in, I think there would have been a penalty because Willock gets absolutely poleaxed in the center of the goal. Like, but it was a funny one, wasn't it?
It was. And at that point, you're thinking that game's ours, because I thought we've dominated so far. We're only 20 odd minutes into the game.
Like, I mean, they came in very short. I think it was only a minute between the first 2 goals, but it just looked, and even more so as it then went on in the next 7 or 8 minutes, it just looked like every time we got the ball, and you've got to give credit to the left hand side with Lewis Hall, who I thought was absolutely outstanding.
Man of the match performance, he was amazing,
absolutely brilliant. Gordon and Isak, the link up that those 3 had on the left hand side, going forward and also coming back, because Forest did absolutely nothing, and particularly with Alanga, who you think is somebody that's going to cause you a lot of problems. In that first half, he did absolutely nothing, and we were just absolutely, every time we got that ball. And again, you've got to give Pope a bit of credit for I think it was the second and third goals. He gets that ball out really, really quickly with his distribution.
Yeah. He's very good at throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Not so much at kicking it.
And that's a big thing when you want to get on the front foot really quickly. And that's what we tend to do when we're looking to stretch the game in that way. He'll get that ball and get you going. Whereas the Bravka, sometimes doesn't do that. He likes to hang on to the ball for a little bit longer.
I think that's a big part of Dubravka's game, which has changed recently. I think we've seen it a few times where he does similar, where he'll not necessarily throw it out. Pope tends to throw it out these days, probably because it's been highlighted by everybody that he's kind of kick a ball to save his life, mind. But he is quite good at distributing the ball quick and hitting us, basically putting us on the attack as well. Third goal, Mark. This is the penalty.
Yeah, I wasn't sure in the ground. Obviously, where it happens is right in front of us.
Yeah,
but obviously the way it comes around, it's on the opposite side from where we sit. So, but there was obviously a huge appeal. So you think, hang on, there's something gone on there. But obviously the way it is from ours, we're looking at the back of their player, so his hands kind of pointing towards the lasers. But the fact that it took a little while for a decision to come through, you're thinking longer this goes on.
I've got no idea why that took so long, because do you know what it is? I feel as if sometimes
as in the VAR asking him to go to the monitor, or when he was at the monitor.
Both. So the referee doesn't make the call. It's very rare you'll see a referee make a call for handball.
He's right there in front of him.
He's right there. But I think it's very, very rare that you'll see a handball call get given by the referee these days. I think the referee allows play to go on, then lets VAR step in. VAR eventually step in. Newcastle players are appealing for that straight away. Yeah. So you normally tell by players' reactions if it is or if it's not. But yeah, referee gets called on it. And as soon as I saw that replay back, I went, yes, it is harsh, because if that's given against us, then you're thinking, yes, it's harsh, but it's a handball at the end of the day, because his arm's out over.
And as soon as I seen the replay, and you see where his arm is.
It's an unnatural position. And
it's up and out like that.
We'll go down the argument of where you're supposed to put your arms when you jump. We'll get it, right? We'll get it. But the rules are that's a handball. So I didn't understand why it took so long for VAR to call the referee over to the screen. Then when the referee went to the screen, he watched replays about 6 times.
I mean, obviously, in the ground, you're not getting the benefit of him at what he's looking at.
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff
different
like
angles that he's getting
But
shown. Freeze frames he's getting shown. You're thinking you only need to see one of them to say the player's arm's out and the ball's hit off his arm with a decent distance between the ball, between the player that's hit the ball and the defender. So it's a handball all day. I'm thinking, why is this taking so long?
It honestly thought that he was trying to see something that would not allow him to give the penalty. Like, he really, really did not want to give that penalty. And I've got to say it, like, he was awful. He was absolutely awful for that full game.
Well, those 2 moments in the first half when Forest were time wasting, Sells was time wasting from the first minute.
Well, they got a goal kick on 3 minutes, and he took an eternity with it.
And they kept on doing it. And there was a moment where 2 of their players, on separate occasions, kicked the ball away from us, preventing us from being able to take a quick free kick. And the referee did nothing about it. Was strange from the referee.
But then I know I'm going to jump massively ahead, but then as soon as it got to the last few minutes and we got a throw in down in our corner, within 2 seconds he's shouting at Tino to hurry up and take the throw, and he's like, I haven't even picked the ball up yet.
And do you know what is sticking with Tino? Tino was very harshly booked as well. There's a 50-50 challenge, and
that was never.
Tino comes out with a yellow card, and Tino's on the floor going, "What? Like, what have I done?"
Again, to us, it looked like Tino had been fouled. The other kid
it was just 50-50 challenge. It was just a strong challenge from both players. That's all that it was. But go back to the goals. So yes, a handball is given. It's a penalty. Isak steps up, and Isak does something different, which we've never really seen him do.
Well, before the penalties, obviously we're watching it, and Matt Sells went behind his goal and picked up his water bottle. Okay. And he was looking at that water bottle for quite some time. So he obviously had the
to be fair,
on the bottle that
Isak's penalties are very hard to judge from a keeper's perspective because he never tends to go to the same side.
Well, he normally will go to his left, the goalkeeper's right.
Yeah, keeper's right. Yeah. And he's missed one going that way as well.
And I think that Sells is anticipating that given his little movement.
But Isak steps up and he does a dink. I don't even know how to describe this. It was a cross between a dink and a chip.
It wasn't. It was it
was strange. To the point where Matt Sells has already made the movement, where his body's already shifted. Momentum's taking him one way. He tries to recover. He ends up in the back of the net, stuck it in the actual net itself. Was outstanding. You're thinking, time waste now, you tosser. And Isak is running away, laughing his cock off at this point, thinking, how have I got away with that? Because if the keeper stays still, that is one of the worst penalties you've ever seen in your life.
The thing is it's like he's just, because I mean, I don't know, I can't even remember if it was this season or last season. We talked about the fact that a lot of times when Isak was taking his penalties, he was kind of miskicking it. He wasn't
scuffing it sometimes,
cleanly with it. But this season, he seems to have just adjusted it slightly. And I know, like Shearer picked up on it on Match of the Day and stuff like that. He's almost, it's not like a pause or a stutter, but he does something.
It's like he just slows
with his body where it slows down, and the keeper the keeper makes that move, and he just then.
But it's like a split seconds before he hits the ball.
That's what I'm saying. You can't explain what he does, but it is like there's a pause, but he doesn't seem to like. You see, like somewhere they'll stop, they'll do the little like dummy kind of thing. He just doesn't do that. I don't know, like. It's weird to describe it, but Sells is anticipating. It's going to the right. He's looked at his bottle thinking, well, that's where the majority of them go. He takes that little step. It doesn't fully go because
ends up at the bottom
it's so quick, and then the way he goes down. But even before that, he ended up. It was quite early on when there was a cross came into the box and the far post. He goes up to try and catch it. And he makes an absolute meal of that, and somehow throws it.
He throws it behind his goal.
Yeah, behind him. So
throws behind his goal.
I don't know. There was a few things with him during the game where it was like the Matt Sells we were used to. Yeah. But we thought it was maybe just the opposite of Gini Wijnaldum, where he couldn't play away from St. James's. Matt Sells can't play at St. James's.
But just a minute later, Isak is on the score sheet again with another scruffy goal. We can't do anything about that. It's another scruffy goal, deflection. Great team play though. Fantastic team play.
It's that pace movement going down that little back
the left
hand side. lovely. He does well to get him in there. And yes, we do get a bit of fortune with the bobble off the defender's foot, which takes it up and oversells. But I mean, God, what's that? 50 goals in, is it 73 or 78 games? 70
so yes, so
it's absolute madness.
Man. I think I might actually have this as well as a screenshot. I'm sure I screenshotted it earlier. Yeah, so fastest to 50 Premier League goals. If you're looking at it, it's took Erling Haaland 48 games. It took our very own Andrew Cole 65, Shearer 66 games, Ruud van Nistelrooy 68, Fernando Torres 72, Mohamed Salah 72, Alexander Isak is next on the list, 76 games it took him to get to 50 Premier League goals. Brilliant. Which is unbelievable.
And that's in a do we say an average to good team?
No, I think we'd be a bit harsh if we said that. I think he's been in a team that scores goals. If you look at last season, we scored a lot of goals last season. So I just think he's just a fantastic striker, mate.
Without a doubt, like the things that he does, he gets himself into those positions. But you just, what he gonna do. I'm gonna try and sell him here, but what he would do in a team that would, that continuously would create chances for him and stuff like that would be frightening and phenomenal. Because there is, we know better than anybody. There's times where he isn't in the game. You look at that second half, he barely got a sniff.
Yeah.
In that first half, every time he had that ball, that Forest defense were absolutely shitting themselves. They looked petrified, and I mean, I even said, I was like, he's getting a hat trick today, because it just looked like every time he was getting forward, he was going to score, and you just felt that was going to continue in that additional.
Do you know what it is? When I was watching the game, I wouldn't have been shocked if Eddie Howe had to change things at half times, and Isak may have possibly went off and Callum Wilson came on.
Well, actually, as soon as the team went off at half time, Trippier and Wilson was straight out warming up. Like literally, as soon as we cleared the pitch, they were warming up.
Because I was thinking, obviously, you've got a huge game coming up against Liverpool on Wednesday. Yeah. You're thinking we're 4-1 up here, and Forest haven't laid a glove on. We're really thinking he could possibly change and get away with it. But weren't expecting what happened second half, mind.
I mean, you do generally see when you're 4-1 up in the second half, you don't necessarily need to play at the tempo, and you just maybe take your foot off the gas a little bit. So I almost expected it, but probably not the drop off that we did see.
We're almost went 5-1 up. So Fabian Shaw
hits the post, doesn't
he? He heads it, he hits a crossbar. Unlucky there, because 5-1, you're thinking, pack your bags.
We didn't actually start the half too badly.
No, I agree.
Like you expect them, they've been in there at half time. The manager would have been going ballistic at them. He'll have wanted to get them really riled up and said, we need to get back into this game.
Did you notice the change that he made at the formation?
Swapped sides with the swap the right to the left. And that made a big difference, because, as I said, Elanga didn't have a sniff at all in the first half. As soon as he moved over to the left, he had a hell of a lot more freedom. And that made a big difference for them.
Yeah, so that change did change it. He's a great manager as well, Nuno, and I really like him.
Yeah. And Gibbs White started playing really well as well, second half, which I like him. But again, we kept them relatively quiet in the first half.
There's a couple of things that I want to mention, and a couple of performances that I want to mention, both for Newcastle and for Forest. First of all, Joe Willock. Joe Willock had a great first half, fantastic first half. The Joe Willock that we know that he is this sort of player and he can deliver these performances. I mentioned in the preview, it's just a shame that he doesn't do it on a consistent basis, and very rarely you'll get 2 consecutive games from Willock where he'll put out those performances. I thought he was back to his best in regards to picking the ball up, driving forward. He was hitting the pass players and catching the ball first, which he's done a lot for us.
I think a lot of that came from the fact that we were doing so well on the left. It was leaving space for him in that kind of old-fashioned inside left position of him being like in there, because Isak would drop out to the left and leave a gap. He would go into the middle and fill that and stuff like that. So it gave that nice bit of fluidity in that area between the 3 that we've already spoke around down the left-hand side, and then Isak just inside of it.
I think second half wasn't great from Willock, but arguably
We had much
the
less
team.
of the ball.
Yeah.
That's
Arguably,
the...
you can say that about everybody. I just want to mention a couple of things, Mark. Those that are listening back to this or watching this back, we are live on YouTube when we record this. We went half an hour early tonight. Went at 7 o'clock. It was promoted on Instagram and on the socials.
People just tuning in
People are
now.
just tuning in now and going, I didn't realize you started earlier. It's 7:30 now, and people are going, I didn't have a clue. Even Scott didn't know.
Thanks for joining. We're finished. Good night.
But yeah, we'll keep you on your toes. So it's always good to follow the Instagram account as well, because we'll always put a countdown on that for your Monday show as well. We've got a couple of new members as well, Mark. There's a member that met you in Shiraz before the match, but we'll come back and talk about him.
So if this is who I think it is, then, because I was going to mention this later on, this is unbelievable.
Okay, well, possibly. so you met you in Shiraz as well. So we'll go through those in a little bit. Another player that I want to mention, I think it's Jules that puts this question in as well. It's about Elliot Anderson. Elliot Anderson had a good second half. I thought he was a really good second half.
They were getting a lot more space in midfield, obviously, and they pick things up. So you'd expect them to come back into the game. And I think that, again, is what impacted Willock's game and Bruno and Miley in the centre of the pitch, because they were doing a lot more in there.
Well, what I want to address is, because I did a match preview with the lads for this game, and I listened to a Forest podcast in preparation for it, and Anderson was saying that he's been fantastic this season, basically saying that they need to find a partner to go alongside him, and he's just made that centre midfield position his own. They said they flirted with a couple of things with him on the left-hand side, which seemed like what we did as a number 10. Once again, we had tried that as well, but he's found his place in centre midfield, and he's doing really well. Like I said, second half, he was great. First off, Jules says, thoughts on the Anderson slap on Murphy?
I didn't see that at the time and hadn't seen anything until earlier today. And it just completely went under the radar. But he literally slaps Murphy in the face.
He does. Yeah.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
It's I don't have an opinion on this, because I don't actually realize if it was intentional, it was just complete mistake. He goes over and apologizes straight afterwards. Yeah. But has he apologized thinking, shit, I might be in trouble?
It was strange.
It's a raised hand.
Yeah. I don't know whether he's almost tried to palm him off, but it looks like to me, it looked like there was two separate movements. And again, depending on the camera angle that you look at, one of them does just look like he's palming him. But then the other angle, he literally gives him a clip around the chops.
Yeah.
So it was definitely. I mean, I was absolutely devastated that on Sunday he didn't get the normal round of applause as he comes onto the pitch, and then as soon as he gets his first touch, the entire place boos him.
Yeah.
I was very disappointed that didn't happen. Not a sausage. And again, this will probably be it. Well, it will be a talking point, because I thought it was absolutely horrendous. The atmosphere.
Let's talk about
on Sunday.
So,
was.
I've only really seen what people have said on social media. I've not talked to any of the GallowgateShots lads about that atmosphere, but I saw a lot on social media saying, first off, during that spell where we're scoring goals, then it was great. They're saying dropped off a complete cliff in the second half.
Honestly, it was shocking. I even started singing. We only sing when we're winning, because it wasn't until we went 2-1 up that I actually generated any noise. Like normally, you know that in the corner you'll have the pockets of the ones in behind that'll start it off, and everybody in the corner will join in. It was a handful of voices.
Do you know what annoys me about this? I know I wasn't there, right? I don't miss many games, but I wasn't there. What annoys me about that is that's such a huge game that you're playing third in the Premier League. That's somebody that if they had have got all 3 points at St. James's Park, that opens up with quite I think it's 11 points. It would have opened up
big gap. It was an important game.
6th or 7th, 11 points it would have been. So for us to, especially the weekend with the rest of the results gone our way, really, you're thinking that's a huge game for us. And yes, we'll come out and we'll do win it. Well, I'm saying eventually we'll hang on. Which we'll talk about the second half in a little bit, but wake up. Like, it's a huge game.
It honestly felt like everybody that was there just had a hangover from Saturday night and wanted to be anywhere else except at that game. Like, and I know that a lot of that atmosphere is dependent on what is getting served up on the pitch in front of you.
But arguably,
but you can't just you cannot just expect. You know, what are we here? We are supporters. You've got to try to support that team and get them to help them along and perform. And I know what they're doing on the pitch will spur us on and stuff like that. But there was people. It was just bizarre how quiet and just uninterested people seem to be.
It's a strange one, but it's not the first time this season that in fact, it's not the first time for a long time atmosphere has been questioned. A new stadium, that's not going to solve that. I'm telling you now, that's not going to solve that. I'm not sure if there is a way to well, I don't know how to solve it. It's just getting the involvement from every fan.
Do you know a drum and a microphone?
I apologize those that sit in the East Stand, but fuck me, useless that stand. You know, absolutely useless. I sat in the East Stand for 4 or 5 seasons, I want to say, and I know what it's like to be sat in there. The rest of the stadium could be singing; they would still be absolute mutes. Like it's hungry.
But even the section directly in front of us that normally join in with songs, they weren't. It just, I don't know. I don't know what was wrong at the weekend, but it just felt that there was a disconnection between what was happening on the pitch and in the stands.
And do you know what it is? I get it. The likes of fans would have been frustrated at that second half. I understand that.
But not when we're 4-1 up.
Yeah,
we're 4-1 up, and you can't even be asked to sing. And again, there was probably a little bit because Hall goes down injured, and he's down for quite a length of time, and that again killed off the atmosphere somewhat as well. But it literally took us to get to 2-1 for people to actually start to make any noise. So, we go 1-0 down. You need a reaction, not only on the pitch. You need a reaction in the stands as well, because the lads need that support and noise to get them back into the game. How many times do players talk about it? Yeah. Bruno mentions it all the time.
Well, David A says, Chris, I just think every bugger was frustrated in that second half. Like, what the fuck are they doing? Because it was mental, that second half, which leads to the next question. And it's a donation which has been sent in by Josh. Thanks very much, Josh. We'll see you in a couple of weeks at Wembley, mate. It's nice seeing that, isn't it? See you at Wembley.
See you at Wembley.
In fact, I'm already used to it. A second home away from home. Josh says, who's to blame for that second half performance? Is it Eddie, the players, or a mix of both? Eddie can only tell the players what he wants. It's their responsibility to deliver that, in my opinion. I think it's complacency on their part. I think I agree to a certain extent. I think a lot of the players, just like the fans, myself included, thought job done 4-1.
Yeah.
Look, and the switch, we've already mentioned the switch.
I'm not a world-class Premier League manager by any stretch of the imagination.
Not yet, Mark, still time.
But, you know, I'm not ruling it out at some point in my life. But he'll have been in that changing room and said, lads, 4-1 up, we've done well to, you know, pull ourselves back in that game. We're blowing them away at times here. You know they're going to come at us straight away in the second half. We're going to have to weather the storm a little bit. But just be aware of that, and then we just continue where we leave off. Now, he's not going to have been standing in that changing room saying, all right, lads, it's 4-1 up. Just have the second half off. Just chill out for a bit.
I'm going to throw a cat amongst the pigeons, as I always do.
Oh, okay. Here he is. He's how out again.
I'm not. I've got that cat out of the bag, and I'm throwing it. Not like Kurt Zuma, but I'm throwing the cat amongst the pigeons. Should Eddie Howe have made changes before he did? Because you saw those goals coming.
You say that, but they didn't really trouble me.
But we're pinned back.
Or test me.
We're pinned back. It was one of those games, Mark, where you always, well, not you, but people will always say it was a matter of time. You saw it coming.
They were putting pressure on because, as you'd expect them to do, they come out and trying to get back into the game. But for the majority of that time, we actually defended really well against them. We weren't allowing them chances on goal and stuff like that. The only times we were looked in any particular bother, ironically, was from the corners, and that's what outdone was those set pieces for both of the goals. But yeah, they were hemming we're back, and we've seen this happen a number of times where we get into that position of where we just, you know, people saying we're sitting back. It's not that we're sitting back inviting it on. It's that team. Because, you know, you're playing against other people here. You can't just have it all your own way. They're throwing everything at you. And as I say, for the most part, we did all right against them when it's in an open game.
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't know. I was watching that and thinking, and do you know what it is? Even a couple of changes that were made. And do you know what it is? There's a question from Liam Knowles. I'll jump in now because once again it flows nicely with our conversation. He says, anyone surprised a not fully match fit Barnes came on instead of Asula? We needed intensity and someone to hold the ball up in the second half.
I didn't understand that substitution at all.
Barnes looked off it, man.
I'm not even sure he touched the ball.
Yeah. Strange one from Barnes.
Yeah.
And I know he's only just came back. We'll get that. And maybe this is why Eddie Howe took so long to make the changes, because maybe he didn't trust Barnes and Barnes isn't fully fit. But once again, it goes back to that question which Liam has sent in. We're seeing Asula on the right-hand side. We saw how good of a game he had against Birmingham. Raw is anything, mind. Raw is the come.
I love him. I absolutely love him.
But I just think if the change had to be made earlier, I wouldn't want Asula coming on the field when we're 4-3 down. Leading and they're coming up again, obviously getting the goals and momentum's shifting to them. I don't think I would like to see that, because of he hasn't really nurtured that talent yet. He doesn't know what he is, because that could cost you the game. It really could. But having said that, I wouldn't have minded seeing that change.
Looking at it, I thought the change that might have been a sensible one, and given what was happening at half time, I thought he might have brought Trippier on and then just pushed Livramento forward into that right midfield position. And because again, second half, Murphy went back to the Murphy that we'd seen in the first 10 minutes of the first half, where
that's spelled apart from the goal. I think we can see it.
So I just because Trippier just brings that calmness. Normally, we've seen times where it hasn't gone that way, but again, is how looking at Elanga there and thinking, he's came really coming into the game. Would his pace then cause Trippier some issues, because Livramento's got that pace he can match him from, because he's quick himself. So that maybe that was playing on his mind. But but he, as I say, he's probably they were having a lot of the ball and putting pressure, but they weren't troubling with. So he's probably looking at that and thinking, do I want to change it? Because does that then upset the apple cart a little bit? It is. It's a balancing act, isn't it?
The thing is, right? And David Eddie Howe. David Eddie Howe.
David Eddie Howe. Good evening, David Eddie Howe.
Got a new name. That's your new name, David. David Eddie Howe. David Eddie says, the pressure really started when we continuously gave the ball away. We did throughout that game. I think every single player at one point gave that ball away. Nick Pope was very lucky not to concede a one that he just kicked out into the box and just gifted it to a first.
He passed it.
Lewis Miley did it. Murphy did it. Dan Burn done it numerous times. Fabian Shaw done it numerous times. You're thinking, what are you doing, lads?
Yeah. I mean, there was a time, I don't know if anybody's mentioned this, but there's a point where Gordon and Cher and Burn are having a right old ding dong between the three of them, because there just wasn't any passes on, and that was putting myself under pressure, because
Hall's booting off at one point because he gets a ball on the left hand side and there's literally no option for him, and Gordon is miles away.
There was a moment though in that second half where Lewis Hall turned into Messi or something. He's bloody doing round the world. He's putting it through people's legs, going in, and he beat about 4 players and took it up the pitch. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
He
had a fantastic game.
Cannot say how good he was.
How was in how quite a lot, yeah. Double how you got there, how.
But yeah, it was sloppy, and that's what was giving them more and more confidence, because they were picking up all of those loose balls. They were intercepting all of the second balls and stuff like that. After that one where Pope plays it to Burn, and Burns under pressure straight away and hasn't got a pass on. I don't know if you'll have seen this, but the little red man that sat next to the dugout, he went on his little run around the back of the goal again.
All right, okay.
And came around and had a word with Pope, and we actually changed from playing out from the back to actually going longer with the kicks.
But you all wanted to see that.
And
Pope kicking the ball out touch every 10 seconds.
This is something else I've seen. Is look, we know his kicking isn't the greatest. Like from when he's under pressure and stuff like that. There was probably only once or twice where they put any pressure on the ball. But what people haven't appreciated is that a lot of those goal kicks and stuff like that, anybody that was at the match, you just think about, and I know it's obviously later on, but when you came out of that ground at full time, I bet you got blew out of the doors, down the stairs, and halfway along Strawberry Place because the wind was absolutely howling. So to me, I think a lot of his kicks, because of obviously he's coming up against the east stand, the wind coming over the top of there, I think would have been playing a big part in that, because a lot of the kicks seemed to drift out and away. So he was lining them up and playing it, and the ball would be away.
Boy actually says that. He says, was the wind a factor?
There
Pope's
you
kicks
go.
were wayward.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't know because I wasn't doing it, but I just know how windy it was, particularly after the game. And we know, obviously, with the lower stand on the east side, it comes in and it circles because you've got the higher stands there. So I think it will have made an impact into it. But I think our game plan changed a little bit from that. But again, we didn't capitalize on it because they had two big old centre halves. One of them really looked like Sven Botman as well. From a distance, but they were winning all of those headers. But we were then picking up that knockdown from that second ball, and I thought that was the tactic that we were trying to then use. But as soon as we got the ball, we just continued to then give it away or just to pass it away, and it was like,
I think that's what the frustration thing in the second half, and maybe that had an impact in regards to atmosphere. Maybe it shouldn't, but it does. You can't deny that. And when players are kicking the ball away to the opposition, you're going to get frustrated.
And you can see, like, you know, of how trying to impact the game and make changes. That was a change to try and get something out of it and change our approach. And it was working because we were getting that second ball and that knockdown. We just didn't do anything with it.
Let's go through some questions because we've got bloody loads, Mark.
Wow.
We've got loads. Shall we go to the question from the member, the new member that you met on Saturday?
Right.
Sunday,
so
sorry.
So if this is who I think it is,
who do you think it is? Can you remember his name?
No, I can't. But
okay.
he was from Portsmouth.
Correct.
Is it him?
Yeah.
This is unbelievable. So there was a few of the regular members that.
So shall we go through his question first? Then we'll go through the story.
This is unbelievable.
If you do want to become a member as well, you can do so. It is just $2.99 a month as well. Just go on the Gallowgate Shots
homepage. I'm
claiming
this membership.
Like, well done.
It was me having a conversation.
I'll drop you £3, mate.
Became a member.
I'll drop you £3. But yeah, it's $2.99 a month. You get extra content as well. You get access to the Telegram group as well. No doubt we'll see everybody in Wembley once again. I'm going to say that as many times as I possibly can tonight. But this is from Tom. He's called Tom Austin. Like I said, he has become a member tonight, and he throws in a question. He says, "Evening, lads. I travelled up from Portsmouth for the match. We remain unbeaten when I attend the games. Ticket for the final, anyone?" He also says, "Met Mark at Shearer's before the match. Top bloke." So tell me the story, Mark.
So
hi, Tom. Thanks very much, as well, mate.
Tom came up and introduced himself, and you know, we had a bit of a chat, and he came out with the words, "We're definitely going to win today." And I was like, "Well, Dad, you're very confident and brave." So it's like, "Well, why is that?" He was like, "Well, the last time I was here was the Tottenham game when we won 6-1.
Right. Okay.
I was like, wow. I says, well, I'd settle for that again if we could have another spell of goals like that. That would be brilliant. We then went on to score 4 goals in 10/11 minutes.
11 minutes, yeah.
So, you know, which is
5 of them
very, very close to what we did against Spurs. And then he also then chipped in with, you know, I've never seen Newcastle get beat when I've attended a match.
We'll need to get him a ticket for Wembley.
So he's got some record. Never seen we get beat when he's attended a game, and that was his last game was 6-1 to Spurs, and then he's just, admittedly, he went a bit downhill in the second half, but we're 4-1 up at half time in that first game that he's been back since then. He must have some lucky underpants, I tell you. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Speaking of underpants, Bestie's in the comments. Hi, Bestie, mate. I hope you took enough pairs on holiday.
You'll need a lot of underpants in Egypt. It's notorious for underpants soilage.
And Bestie is.
Bestie is right. even without being in Egypt.
I hope you have a good time. Everybody that is wondering as well, yes, Bestie has taken his Newcastle United hoodie with him. Of course he has.
It's currently flying at the top of the pyramids as a flag. He slipped it over the Sphinx for a photo.
Right, let's go through. Oh, Bestie's commenting again. Let's see what you said. I had loads of lamb for dinner, lads. Already on my third pair of the day. Enjoy the rest of your trip, mate. Let's go through a couple more. There has been another donation from Josh again. So let's go through this one as well. He says, has Sir Jim Radcliffe been making budget cuts to the channel as well as Man United? He said, Mark would be knackered if he was staff member there at lunchtime, topless for his soup. Yeah, so the rumours is that they're doing soup for staff now, aren't they?
Well, that's it. The rumours are they're closing the canteen, aren't they? And just no more Heinz soup. They're going
budget.
They're going budget. They're going little, as the smart price.
Little
now.
soup.
22 pence a can.
It's mad. Honestly, it's mad. It's Mike Ashley point too, isn't it?
Like, you know, as much as we dislike Man United and as hilarious it is, you've got to feel for the staff that are there, because, you know, another 200 people being made redundant when he's already done
of running the ship,
quite
a few, sadly.
So, yeah, it's a shambles. But then you just go back to when he took it over and how cock-a-hoop the Man United fans were, and yeah, it's not turning out how they envisaged, is it?
It's not. Right, let's see what other questions we've got. We have, let's see. This is a question which were highlighted earlier on. Mark, we said we'll come back to it. He says, this is from Josh Kurz. I'm not sure if I said that. So it's from Josh. He says, do we keep Pope in goal now, or just commit to Dubravka? I'd rather keep Pope personally, despite the fact the first goal was horrific, but we can't keep chopping and changing. I'm not happy with what happened on the weekend. Obviously, we don't know what's happened behind the scenes, if anything, but we're just going on the fact that nothing's been leaked, nothing's been said. But Dubravka signs a new contract, okay? Bearing in mind, the club had to basically not necessarily beg Dubravka to stay, but there was a big offer for Dubravka to go to Saudi, right? And you wouldn't blame him for taking that. Of course you wouldn't.
No.
He's been a decent servant for the football club. Yes, there was that spell when he went to Man U, but he wasn't getting game time, so I'm not holding that against him. We'll give him a new contract, which he signs. The next game, he is dropped.
Well, even before that, and this was the bit for me where I was thinking, well, actually this is 50-50, because you never know which side of the coin you're getting here. But Eddie Howe spoke at length in his press conference about Dubravka and the fact that he signed a new contract and how great he'd been and everything like that. And, you know, if you take that at face value, you think he's really bigging them up. He's really happy for him to be here. But then when the noise about the fact that he was, you know, Pope was going to be coming back in, you're thinking, well, hang on, is this typical Howe of when he's that other side of the story where he's telling you one thing to totally deflect from the fact that, hang on, he's not actually going to even be playing, and that turned out to be the case. Where
and we know the likes of new contracts help with the chance of bringing money in for a player when we do go to sell. We know that we're not disregarding that, but obviously I'm going to have to keep on saying that we don't know what conversations are being between Eddie Howe and Dubravka and stuff like that. Looking at Dubravka's missus' Instagram,
that came out earlier.
wasn't great. It looked like it was a bit of a dig there.
It is a very, very strange decision.
But if there's nothing happened, that's bad man management in my eyes. What sort of precedent does that lay out for everybody else? And if you're having decent performance, and yes, we know we're conceded 4 against Manchester City, I don't think any of those were Dubravka's fault. People might disagree with us, but I don't think it is. And for Dubravka had a really, really good spell in goal. For then Nick Pope, who hasn't had the greatest of seasons, far from it, nothing like we've seen previously, for him to then be fit to get shipped straight back into that starting position in between the sticks, I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah, it was a big surprise. Like, you just think when those rumors start, you went, surely not, unless there's something, because Tonali came out with saying that there was a slight muscle strain there. That was the reason. Whereas the Dubravka one just appeared to be that he'd been dropped, and as you say, he hasn't done anything to deserve to be dropped.
We've said numerous times. We're probably waiting for Dubravka to have a howler, then Pope will come in. I don't think anybody would be shocked with that.
To me, it felt like that it was Dubravka's shirt to lose.
Yeah,
and he hasn't lost it. He's had it pulled off his back and had it to Pope, which, and I know what you're saying about the man management side of things. I guess we don't know what the man management side of it, on the face of it, yes, it doesn't look good, but there could have been a whole host of conversations that have been happening kind of behind the scenes and face to face with him to explain. And you would hope that would be the case. He's explaining his reasons behind why he's making that change.
There's a couple of comments that already came in saying Pope's a better keeper. That's it. Right. I think that's still debatable at times. I think the fan base will probably lead towards Pope being the better keeper.
I would say Pope.
But I think there are people like me who I rate Dubravka. Yes, he had that stinking spell when he was called upon last time. Of course he did. But since then, he's improved massively. I think what we've seen is like night and day between the two performances. And one of the comments from Tony that says saying the team had a good spell, not Dubravka, which is complete bollocks, right? That's bollocks because
Dubravka's part of the team.
When he was having the bad spell, nobody said, "Oh, the defense is having a bad time." It was all Dubravka's fault last time. So you've got to give and take. Like you can't have it all. And do you know what it is? Dubravka did have a great spell. He's had a fantastic spell. I mean, to say he hasn't, and the team did, nah. You could look at individuals as well, and he's had a great spell.
Yeah, we sat here and talked, a few weeks ago now, because it certainly looked like he was away. We know we've seen the tears from him, thinking that it was his last game and stuff like that. And we spoke about the fact that if he did go, he would be going with his head held high. And you go back to last season and the fact that he'd gone to Man United, his stock was at a low. He then came back into the team for the second part of the season and didn't have a great time at all. And I was very disappointed with what I was seeing from him. And it was evident from the defense that there wasn't that confidence there between the defense and the goalkeeper. But again, Pope then came back in, started off the season, picked up his injury. But then you cannot fault Dubravka for his performances that he's then displayed.
One of our long-time listeners, Blue Rhythm Boy, is coming in as well, saying, "Captain hindsight, though, isn't it? If Pope has a great game, nobody criticises the decision to play him." I was criticising before ball had even been kicked. I was criticising the night before.
But the thing is he didn't have a bad game. Yes, I understand.
First goal was bad.
I understand he's conceded 3 goals. The first goal, he's unlucky because he's thinking it's going to go one way. Yes, I get what you're saying. He's across to the left, but if that striker does what everybody in that ground, Dan Burn is expecting him to do, Pope is expecting him to do, Pope pulls off a great save and tips it around the post. Yeah. It's clever from the striker.
Still question that, mind.
He didn't do that one pass out to Dan Burn, kick in. Yes, there's probably an element of the weather and stuff against that. People even before he even had a ball to his feet were shitting themselves about it. There's 100% just this negative energy that you get when you have Pope in goal.
So, right, let's say Dubravka is our second choice goalkeeper, which he is, right? Nobody's arguing against that, right? Yes, he's had time in goal.
And I will say it's unfair on him given what he's done so far this season.
What happens cup final? So if you're second choice goalkeeper, you normally play your cup keeper during those running games. You get to the final, Dubravka deserves to be there.
That maybe has been, and we don't know, is that maybe has been part of the conversation that we're seeing. We know how he likes to, chop and change his formation given the opposition that we're up against. He probably looked at it and think, hang on, we've got Chris Wood playing here. Are they going to be putting balls into the box? Troubling we're at height, and we know Pope is better at coming commanding his box, commentating the ball, punching. We've seen a lot more of. He does that a lot better than Dubravka does. Dubravka is very good at shot stopping and that kind of thing. In reality, none of that really happened because it was the corners that they scored from. The times where they did have corners, he was coming and claiming it. The crosses were coming in, he was coming and claiming it. He was punching it clear. Even on the third goal that they scored, Dubravka punches it out and clears it, but the ball comes straight back in. So he's probably looking at that and thinking, Pope's probably better suited to the opposition that we're playing today. trying to nullify that. But again,
I think it's been harsh.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. Like I was very, very surprised that.
And like I said, we could be completely wrong, but I think we're thrown into the cocktail, the post on Instagram as well. If there had been a conversation behind the scenes, you probably wouldn't do that.
Well, there will have been a conversation. He's not going to just pin the team sheet up on Friday.
I think he would have been told. I think he would have been told, but
and that's where potentially there could have been a conversation to say, I'm bringing Pope in. He's going to be me number one in the league, but you've done enough to keep your position for the cups or something like that. We've only got to wait until Sunday to the next till Brighton. Well, obviously we've got Liverpool on Wednesday first before that, but we've obviously got Brighton, haven't we? On next Sunday, where what does he do there?
Do you know what it is?
Bring Dubravka in? Does he remain with Pope?
I think those that I'm not going to say defend Pope because nobody dislikes Pope, but those that are on, because for some reason you can't be down the middle. Like I'm down the middle, but a lot of people have to be Team Dubravka or Team Pope in regards to who should be starting in goal. I think there's not as much in it as what some people make out,
and that's because Dubravka has improved this season because the big thing for him last year was his positioning for, like, he would never sweep around the edge of his box. He would never come out and close down the space and stuff like that. He was rooted to his line into the 6-yard box. He's doing that more now. His kicking has certainly improved as well, because people talk about Pope's kicking, but Dubravka's was never brilliant. He was never great with his feet, but again, he seems to have improved over the last few months when he's been in the team. So, but actual goalkeeping, commanding of your box, saves and stuff like that, I'd still put Pope above him.
And I wouldn't. You know what it is? I wouldn't disagree if Pope was starting. I just think it's
harsh given the circumstances, and it's you go back to when we had Given and Harper there. There was nothing between them two, but you knew Given was your number one.
It leads to the next question, which is from Blue Rhythm Boy, that says, does Trafford sign? And Bestie follows it, saying, I think Bestie said this last season as well, that it does seem like there's a strong chance that Trafford.
It's not going away, like, is it? The noise about it. And, is it again a situation where, because I even seen stuff around, could it be that, has Dubravka signed his contract because he's cementing that number 2 position? There's the opportunity for him to do some coaching with Trafford. Does Pope go in the opposite direction and go back to Burnley? Because you'd probably expect them to come up.
Well,
this season, if
just
they
looking at Trafford, was it 24 clean sheets or something so far this season? 25 clean sheets.
He's a good keeper.
Well, apparently it might just be on the rest of the team, not him.
Well,
no, but Trafford's a very good keeper. He is. Obviously, age,
and I know there's
on his side as well.
There's levels in it as well, because he's doing it in the Championship. We know the season that he had in the Premier League, he found it a bit difficult in the step up. But he was look at the team that he was playing against. He's going to be facing a hell of a lot of shots, a hell of a lot of stuff. It generally goes one of two ways. You either, when you because we've seen it again with Dubravka, you go back to when he used to be getting 30 shots a game coming at him, and he was pulling them up because he was busy all of the time and doing stuff. So,
but I think if we are looking at rebuilding a lot of the team in the summer, I don't think you can look past Trafford. Like we've said a couple of times, it just hasn't disappeared. It's been around for about a season and a half now, hasn't it?
Just a shame that Liverpool have already gone and signed other options on the table, isn't it? But again, Trafford, English, young, he's the right profile for what we look at, isn't he?
Bestie, just with Bestie coming in as well, he says, tell you what, it was lush to see the rest of the lads celebrating with Miley after his goal. You could see they were all buzzing for him. Yeah, it was nice little moment for him. We'll go through a couple more questions because we have been going for the 60 minutes now. Not that it's like a cut off, like the bill doesn't just like we'll pay our bills. Don't worry about that.
we can go along. I've got an extra £3 tonight. And we're not paying them to be here.
Steve says, lads, what is your stance for the Scousers on? Well, he says Mickey Mouse has. So he says, what is your stance for the Scousers on Wednesday? I would start Pope, Kraft, Miley, Barnes, and Wilson and tell them to prove they should be worth a Wembley chance. Nothing to lose. It's a bit of a dress rehearsal, isn't it? Apart from the fact that it's at Anfield, and I guess it's going to be different at Wembley. I think Wilson was far too greedy when he came on against Forest. A couple of chances where he could have played Gordon on one side.
One on the
right.
Literally, it's the last kicks of the game where he goes, and it was the second time.
He had like three chances, and he just got tackled every single time. That's all he did when he came on.
He went through 1-on-1, but the last one is awful because Gordon has just run the length of the pitch. He's completely unmarked, edge of the box. All he's got to do is lift his head up and just roll it across to him.
Yeah,
I don't know how how Gordon wasn't going even more ballistic than he was. I think the fact that it was so late in the game, it didn't matter because it then came back out and I can't remember who it was, but somebody got fouled, and then that was it. Game over.
A lot of people are thinking that this game is a bit of a write-off against Liverpool. It's far from that. It's just you don't want to give too much away from both perspectives, mind. Especially with the cup final just being a couple of weeks after it.
Yeah.
You're thinking, what sort of team did the both sides feel? It's going to be a strong team, of course it is, but if Botman's back to Newcastle, go back to the same formation that we played against Arsenal at home in the second leg, where we just go 5 at the back and go, right, break us down, and we can be dangerous on the counter-attack. What worries me is that Van Dijk is an absolute knob, and it really worries me that some damage that he could cause to somebody and get away with it, that's what's scaring the living shit out of me, mind.
Because this close to a Wembley Cup final, say it again, it's you do worry about that situation, and I don't know. I honestly don't know what we should be doing for the best in this game, because you do want to go and give them a good hiding. It would give you all sorts of confidence running into those games. You then look at Liverpool, and like yesterday against Man City, they were fantastic.
Yeah,
but then you go, a week earlier and they were dreadful.
Do you know what it is?
And I know that was a derby, so you sometimes get that. But
but you look at Trent, and I put in the group yesterday. You look at Trent, and Doku got past him every single time. Yeah. Every time he's Trent defending,
and Gordon's had him every time he's came up against them.
The thing is that if we go and lose at Anfield, then fair enough, we'll lose. You could go into the Wembley game, the lads go, right, we'll get our payback here. So it could jar them up that way. It could go the other way if we get horses handed to it.
If we went to Anfield and lost, it wouldn't come as a huge surprise, would it? So it's, and that's why it doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. You want to get something out of it just to keep we're in, because we're now sitting 5th. It's very tight up there as we've
still is, yeah.
That's what she said. Being, just keeping that pressure on. I know it just came straight out. Keeping that pressure on Forest. Liverpool are obviously trying to run away with the league and get it wrapped up as quickly as they can. But all of the pressure and expectation is on them because they're the champions elect. They're at home. They're expected to win. So it almost then takes some of the pressure off us. And we've seen when we have gone there in games. Like I remember it was one of Isak's first games where, he literally ran the length of the pitch and scored an absolute worldie, didn't he? And then had that offside
still wasn't offside.
And then, and then things changed after that. They came back in the game with them being, a few times where they've absolutely tanked with and stuff like that. So it's football. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? If we play like we did in that 10-11 minutes, we'll blow anybody away. It's like we did. It's like we did against Arsenal at home, where they just couldn't live with me.
We've gone, mate, we went almost the full thing without being Arsenals and
We're
Dory.
naughty boys. What can I say?
We're naughty boys.
But it you know, you want to stay in touch there. So offer us a draw now. I'll absolutely take it. You just don't want to go and get absolutely spanked, because then that gives them all the confidence in the world, and it makes a fan base that are already
Tetchy.
you know really wanting the whole team sacked and a new one, and thinking we're going to get beat 30-0 at Wembley in a cup final.
Hi, Miley.
So yeah,
I'm done, mate. You done?
you don't. I'm done.
I'm done.
I've had enough.
I'm done. It's late. In fact, it's not.
It's early.
We're starting earlier.
Well, man, you know me just started.
Well, the reason why I want to go, because Decker, you see Decker's photo you put in on Sunday night. I think it was a Saturday night. He had a garlic bread special.
A new one,
and
or a.
Well, I don't think it was an old one just lying around his house.
No, man, like a new place or
no.
Gills.
You don't try a garlic bread special from a new place. You go to the OGs. You go to Gills or the Golden Chippy. So Decker's tickled me fancy with that, mate.
That's what she said.
So I'm going to order him.
If anybody's wondering where Decker is, he's actually celebrating his 40th birthday
on a stag do. But no, Decker he's in London. He's gone early.
He's just 2 weeks early.
He's checking the place out. Decker has gone to London.
He's probably seen Back to the Future again.
No, he's not actually. He's got to see something different. But you will be on a stag do.
Back to the Future 2.
He's going on a stag do in a couple of weeks' time. So we are having a bit of a stag do for Ian as well when we're at Wembley as well.
At Wembley in the cup final.
Go to Wembley again. But yeah, thanks everybody who has joined. I've really enjoyed this one. Just
it's much better when them two on here, isn't it?
We'll just sack them two off every week. But yeah, thanks everybody. Like I said earlier on in the show, if you do want to become a member, it is just $2.99 a month to do that. If not, just become a subscriber. It's all we ask as well. But become a member. Helps you out massively. Just like the video as well. It means a lot to us as well. If you are listening to the audio only, give it a 5-star rating. Leave a little comment on there as well. And if you do get some free time, just jump on YouTube as well. Even if you don't watch the video, just like it. That's all I ask, man. But yeah.
But do watch it. You get to see our beautiful faces.
Yeah.
Well, my beautiful face.
Good luck, everybody who went at the pot 6 today.
Pot 6 ballot.
Scott's just reminders. So good luck. May the odds
forever
be in your
favor. There's going to be a fair few people in that pot later.
That is tough, that pot. That's a big old pot, that. But yeah, good luck, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Plenty more stuff coming your way as well. A match preview was recorded before we went live on this one as well, with Andy and Dasmo on that as well. So yeah, plenty more stuff coming your way. We'll see you next time. What you doing? Ta-ra.
Love you. Bye.
Go to Wembley as well, Mark.